Welcome back to West Texas View.
We've been talking with Judy Warren, who is the Executive Director of the Midland-Odessa Area AIDS and HIV Support Group, and they serve right now over 300 families, or close to 300 families, that are dealing with the problems of AIDS and HIV in their families right now. And that doesn't count the ones that don't even know they have it yet, or that have not actually gotten to them for help. This organization services the whole Permian Basin. So you're working with a lot of people, Judy, but bring these statistics that we've been quoting, that a person gets AIDS every 9 minutes nationwide. 1 in 4 people don't even know they have AIDS, because it can be dormant in your body for 10 years. So bring that down to the Permian Basin and tell us what you're doing here.
Okay, well, what we're doing here is trying to educate people as much as we can. We are mandated in MISD, and we're also accepted in the Odessa schools, the Ector County schools. So we have to speak to the 9th through 12th graders, and this is not good enough. We need to be speaking to younger kids, because the article that I read earlier,
they start at 13. Oh.
Yes, HIV is on the rise among young people between the ages of 13 and 24, and this article that came out in USA Today in November 2012, just a few months ago, is about a report that the Center for Disease Control had just released, saying that today approximately 1,000 young people from 13 to 24 are newly infected with HIV every month across our country. And it goes on to say also that 1 in 4 are that age, 1 in 4, and it also says that where we used to think this was a disease in large cities, it's not anymore.
And a disease of drug users or gays.
Yes, it's not any longer. And as far as what we can do to stop this, it's going to be bringing it out in the open. Anytime I'm on an airplane or something and I meet somebody for the first time and they say, well, what do you do? And I tell them, well, I'm director of a nonprofit AIDS organization. They always say, AIDS? I don't hear anything about that anymore. I thought they got rid of that, you know. It is on the rise among our babies, 13 to 24, and we hear nothing about it. Everybody needs to be educated today to take it seriously. Why would our kids take something seriously when they never hear about it? They don't hear about it from their parents.
Or their parents don't seem concerned.
Exactly, exactly. This article goes on to say that there are 2 waves of AIDS today. The first wave is among older people, not elderly, but older than 13 to 24, who contracted this. Remember, you can have the HIV virus in your body for years, maybe 10 or 12 years, before you ever get sick, before you ever have any kind of symptom at all.
But you're contagious all that time.
Exactly, while the viruses are multiplying and breaking down your immune system. You're very contagious. So the first wave are among people who contracted this virus years ago, and they lived years without knowing they had it, and then they found out they had it, and now they're living years fighting for their lives. And so that's the first wave. The second wave are among our young people who were not alive when those people, the older people, contracted this virus. They weren't alive to see what I saw when my brother had it. So many young people walking around, wasting away, skin and bones, and young people, kids who were hemophiliacs, who were getting HIV from blood transfusions and dying. The kids today who have this virus, they're not going to know they have it until maybe 5 or 10 years after they graduate from high school.
But the damage is being done in their body
Yes.
and will affect future generations.
Exactly, exactly. And so they think that AIDS is a disease of elderly people, older people. It doesn't affect them, and it does. They're one of the main groups, according to the Center for Disease Control, that is on the rise. And so it also...
And particularly with the young, very young people, the 13-year-olds, the 12s and 13s and 14s that are thinking they can substitute oral sex for intercourse, and that will prevent. But all that does is...
Let me tell you something.
Is make it worse.
I'm glad you brought up oral sex, because today oral sex is so popular among our kids. They do not even think it's sex. It's simply something you do to get somebody to like you. I've had kids, one boy argued with me. He was going around telling girls he was a virgin because all he did was oral sex. And oral and anal sex are two of the best ways to get AIDS or a deadly STD.
Quickest ways.
And let me tell you something new about oral sex today. So many young people have been doing this for so long now. They are getting HPV in their mouth, not HIV, but the human papillomavirus. And they can have that for some time with no symptoms, while it is going into mouth and or throat cancer. And so mouth and throat cancer is up around 30% among our young people today because of HPV and oral sex. And so it's very, very serious. And this article also goes on to say that the first step for stopping this or controlling it is to be tested. Because so many people are walking around, as this says, most young people with HIV don't know they're infected.
But do our doctors know how to, I mean, do they routinely test them for those kinds of things?
No.
Or does people have to ask?
They have to ask. Now, I have been told that there's an influx of young people that go for testing to the health department after we speak somewhere. I don't know that that's absolutely true, but that's what I've been told. And so I hope that's true, because they're not going to know they have this if they don't go and be tested.
And the damage is being done. And we're so careful with orthodontics and all that kind of stuff, and we're missing out on the worst of all. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.